What's happening, fishing friends? Today we're talking about a lure that's been getting a lot of buzz recently. In fact, this lure category is relatively new and a bit unusual and kind of strange how it plopped into the market. As you can see, they've aptly named it the poop category. Now, is it possible that this lure could replace the Senko for good? Now, listen, before you turn away and say, oh, this thing's some gimmick, it's dumb, I thought the same thing before I really got him out and tried him. So, I'm going to talk about my experience using this lure, and really it was a video from Cody Meyer on the Tackle Warehouse channel, and the way he fished this differently. There's, it says there's a number of different ways to fish this. People I've talked to have fished it different ways, but it was really his video that interested me and how I was catching them. So today I'm going to talk about what this lure really is to me, how I rigged it, the combo I fished it on, and how I was finding success using this lure around here. I'm going to give my opinion on a couple things that I think really excel with this and some things that, kind of suck. So enough yapping, let's get into it. Yes, if you looked at the package already, this is the Yamamoto Yamatanuki, this new kind of stick, thicker, they call it the poop bait category. I hate saying that, but this, kind of larger, like a bigger TRD kind of on steroids, right? And especially for these are 3.5 inches and weigh 5/8 of an ounce. So it's a really dense, heavy plastic. They also have a smaller 2.5 inch. It weighs 1/4 of an ounce. You put this on a hook, rig it Texas rigged. I'm going to show you that here in a second. You can fish it weedless around weed beds, around logs and stuff, under docks. Skips really well since there's nothing protruding. And really that underwater footage of this one had me show you here the most intrigued because of this tail. This tail on the way down kind of shakes. We're going to see if we can get some footage of my tank over there, but the way that tail really shakes underwater is what really kind of drew me to this one compared to the others. Okay, so for rigging this, it's really simple. When I was out fishing it, I was just using a 4/0, a little bit heavier wire EWG hook there. You just put it in the nose. You can take this, put it there, and this is actually another Yamamoto bait I'm going to be talking about later, but rig it just like that, your normal Texas rig. But if you compare that hook to a hook like this, you see how much wider and larger the belly is on this one? Because this bait is so thick, I wish I would have used these. This is a 4/0 owner beast hook, and it's got a screw in or a screw lock keeper at the nose right there. You see that? It's just a spring. You put it in the nose, twist, 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 and just like that, it's rigged up and ready to go. You just take your hook, always mark on the side of it where it goes, bend it over, bring it straight up through, and there you go. And you can see with this bait, it has a hook channel up top, so you don't even have to Texas rig this. The hook sits inside that channel, that little cavity, that little canal that they've cut out there, so you can see once the fish hits it and pushes it up, that's where your hook is exposed. Super sharp hooks, really like these, and screwing it in the nose like that, I think it might last a little longer. Now, because these are Yamamoto baits, on just the regular EWG hook that I had, I think it only lasted 2 fish before it did that. The top completely split open. I have to give a shout out to Mr. Wendell Fishing, recently a kayak champion, taking this and melting your own plastisol if you save a bunch of other old baits and stuff, saving this and dipping it in that and letting this dry, and it completely hardens that nose so you can use them again. He's another guy that's had a lot of success on these. I'll link his channel. Super nice guy, big into kayak fishing, but another way to do that to fix those up, or mend it. My buddy Rand Dizzle, he absolutely loves this stuff, uses it on all of his plastics, uses it on frogs. Fun deal here. It comes out with a nail polish looking deal, and all you have to do is put a bunch of this in the middle here, just like that. Brush it up inside there. Just like that. Kind of smells like nail polish too. Leave it closed. I'm going to set this aside and I'll show you this later. You can see there how it's not 100% perfect, which is fine. Just needs to be hard enough to hold a hook in there. So a bottle of mend it like that. Keep it in your bag. You can use it for a bunch of different stuff. Like I said, especially patching up frogs, as many pike as we have here, this works great. All right, now let's get out on the water. I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons to this lure and fishing it. Some things I really liked and some things that, maybe I think some other lures do it better. First off, pitching and flipping this around wood, skipping at docks, it can do a lot of different things. So you can keep this baby tied on and do all of those. Kind of like a Texas rig, a little different presentation, especially when you're fishing deeper water and you want a faster fall. It's kind of like a little bit bigger, more powerful type of Senko type deal, I guess, for deeper water. If you're fishing, 15 feet and you want a Senko type deal, it's going to take that forever to get down there. As you can see, this guy, that was my first one of the day. Like I said, you can flip it, pitch it, skip it under docks, but you can see how hydrodynamic it is for skipping and stuff. It's just a very nice little compact lure, especially for cold water. I'm going to talk about that more, but the second big thing of it is chances of this getting hung up in that big chunk rock. So the way I'm fishing this here is casting it out, dragging it on these rocks, popping it a couple times, dragging it some more. It's great for that. And I didn't get hung up once with it the entire day. Now with a jig like this, probably going to get hung up, probably have to go over there. Now the downside to that, you can fish it like a jig, and like I was saying, that cold water, this is really like a downsized finesse jig. It doesn't have the skirt, you know, it doesn't have the weight, a little bit slower fall than something like that. Just a real cool, kind of sleek, slender look to it. You know, kind of looks like a really cold, bunched up craw, you know, without all the legs and stuff out. But really cool to do that, and I think you're going to get hung up a lot less with something like this compared to a jig, especially if you end up going too heavy. Now, as you can see here, it was decently windy, but we ended up getting like 30, 40 mile an hour gusts, and once it gets that windy, it doesn't drop fast enough where you can keep the bottom and feel bottom contact, so it kind of falls off, being good there. But again, with the finesse Texas rig or a finesse jig that falls you know, straight down, this thing falls horizontal, kind of like you see on the line there. Falls horizontal, like a stick bait. So it's kind of a cool, different look when you first cast it in there horizontally. And when you pop it, again, it's going to fall straight horizontal down as well. So not like a jig or Texas rig that, you know, goes straight down, nose down like a dart. This is falling horizontally. So again, a different look. And you can see there are 2 fish, and that thing is already ripped up. Got to switch it out. So that was one of the cons, actually, that I was going to get to here in a second. Durability. Can't catch many fish on it. It's a typical Yamamoto, but again, with that Yamamoto plastic, it's a trade-off. It's highly salted. It's got a good fall rate for a reason. It's very hard to replicate. Good baits overall. Just, you know, the durability is not good. And kind of going back to that finesse jig, finesse Texas rig, like I'm saying here, especially in colder water where you don't want a bunch of action, this does it. You know, it doesn't have floppy claws, you know, claws going all around, bunch of legs. It's a very subtle, different action to it. And again, kind of that slow fall. Here, me and Brando doubled up. He caught his biggest of the day, like 2 3/4 on, I think, a jig, actually. So maybe the jigs catch the bigs, and I struggle to get this out. But I caught a little tiny guy. He caught the bigger one of the day. But that was the only one he caught, and I caught multiple fish on this one. And there was a trip before this where I was fishing it around flooded timber. Didn't get any of that footage. It ended up all erasing, but it worked flipping around wood too, just like you would a Texas rig. Now the second right here, I don't know if I had it here or not. Let me see. But the second con to this is hookup ratio is kind of suspect. I did catch this one, but I think I had missed 2 before this. And I think I ended up missing another really good feeling bite where it hit it hard. And you can see there, he came off. Hookup ratio was not as good as I would like because it is such a big piece of plastic. Kind of gets bunched down on the bottom of the hook there. And then probably the only other real con that I could think about is with it being that soft plastic in the rocks, you don't get the sensitivity of like a jig or a Texas rig where you can feel that. There you can see I lost that bite. But anyway, overall, really liked it. Let's get back to the shop and we'll talk some more here. Now the combo I was fishing this on, I know that's upside down, but it's the Dobyns Champion 745C. See the specs there, it's a 7.4 mag heavy fast, and I really like that, a faster tip. I don't want anything too spongy because again, I'm fishing this weightless. So when I'm dragging this on the bottom, it's not like a jig where I'm feeling, you know, every little rock and stuff. You can feel things, but it's a bit different because this is soft. And that's really one of the things that really attracted to me after I was fishing it, but more on that here in a second. Anyway, rigging this up, weightless just like that. You're dragging it, giving it little hops, flipping it and pitching it around stuff. So you want a little bit heavier line. I was using 15 on this. I should have went up some more. After I watched Cody Meyer's video on it, he talked about the folks he was fishing with in Japan who had helped, you know, create this, the way they were fishing it. And it's really just a slow drag, sometimes a little pop off the bottom. And it looks like a crawfish or a bait fish just coming up off the bottom, and then it kind of glides down. It's not as heavy and erratic as a jig where, you know, you pop a jig up and it's going straight back down. It's got just a little bit of a different fall, almost like a Senko, you know, that weightless plastic mixed with a heavier jig, kind of in the middle. So that really drew me to it. But he said they were fishing it on 20-pound fluorocarbon, and the reason is making a long cast on a point, or, you know, dragging it, throwing it next to something. You want the line and everything to get it down. That's kind of the attraction to this. It's not like a Senko where it's, you know, it's falling real slow, enticed them that way. It's a quick down. Again, almost like a Texas rig or a jig mixed with the Senko type application. So he was saying, you know, you can certainly throw it into holes in grass or long grass edges, skip it under docks, you know, flip it next to wood and stuff. But really, he said the main way they were fishing it over there in the pressured waters was throwing that out just kind of like a jig and dragging it on points. And that's what I was doing and caught all of my fish that day on this until we got completely blown off the water because there were, I think, 35, 40 mile an hour gusts that day. It was like white capping. It was absolutely crazy. But during the morning, yeah, once I switched to this, I tried a jerkbait, lipless, a bunch of other things in cold water. And this was the only thing that was getting bit. Now the reel, this is the Concept Z Slide 7.5-1. I like something a little quicker when I'm just kind of dragging or flipping and pitching because all the movement's coming from the rod. I'm dragging it, you know, just giving a couple pops, and I'm just taking up slack line with this. So when I hit that fish and set the hook, I like something a little quicker to get them turned around and coming to me so they can't get into brush, weeds, dock pilings, you know, or the concrete on them that could be sharp and break off. So that heavier line also helps because you can really swing on them and get them turned your way and coming to you. So I like a 7-speed reel. That's my overall favorite. Definitely need to start doing more review videos. I've got a bunch of those planned. Now, if you don't want to go with something this expensive, you know, the Champion line is one of the more expensive. Go with like the Dobyns Fury 734. Great do-it-all rod for like 120 bucks. A bunch of other rods. I'll link some rods and reels and stuff below. Of course, I did partner up with Tackle Warehouse, so anytime you use those links, a little bit does come back to me. But if you find it cheaper somewhere else, Omnia, you know, wherever, certainly go over there if you like shopping there. But good little combo. Really like this, but there's definitely other ways. You know, you go a Lose LFS, $100 on a Dobyns Fury, you're looking at, you know, close to a $200 combo. So definitely other ways you can fish it. You just want to make sure it's something that is good and sensitive to you when you're dragging this bait. All right, fishing friends, so I guess the question is, what are my final thoughts on this? Well, I don't think it's going to be a game changer. Everybody's going to be switching away from all these lures and throwing this, but I think it's a nice new addition. You know, people always talk about all the time, show the fish something they've never seen. You know, once I switched to this lure, the fish hadn't seen it in my area. I was getting all kinds of bites. Does that hold true all the time? Maybe sometimes, maybe not. But this was, and if you can see here, this was the little Yamamoto that I fixed up there. It's been sitting for 20 minutes, but you can see there with the screw lock in there, perfectly fine holding it. It's all fixed. That was completely split in half. No way it would have held it. So keeping some of that, mend it on your boat or in your bag with you for fishing is great. You can do a number of things just like that, repairing your plastics, pedal tails, all kinds of stuff. And I really like that owner hook. And I think I mentioned that earlier before that I like this owner, any sort of EWG hook with a larger belly. As I was talking, when you're fishing it, the bait tended to bunch down. So that's why I like this. It keeps the nose of that up even when you get a bite and allows all of that to push all the way up there. So something with a bigger belly on it, a bigger gap with a thicker lure like this. So now I need all of you to do me a favor. Comment below and let me know what you think. Have you fished it? If you fished it, what do you think of it? If you haven't, would you consider picking it up? Are there any other baits in this category? You know, Missile Baits came out with the Bomba. Spro came out with them. There was a number of them released, and it seemed like people either loved them or hate them. I thought it was kind of a gimmick until I tried it, and I actually kind of like it. So there's a few that I've been that way with. More to come for videos. I've got an unboxing, and a couple other things this week, but I need to keep my butt in gear and getting videos out. So again, I appreciate the heck out of all of you. There'll be a special Thanksgiving live on Saturday. So that's enough for me. Gotta edit. Thank you all for watching. Love you. And until next time.